Hello, this is Sharon Mistretta, and welcome to the second in a series of lessons regarding the development of a 3-question quiz in Scratch. By now you should have accessed the worksheet that is attached to our lesson website, and you should do a save as so that it includes your last name. For instance, mine is named Mistretta Scratch Project Worksheet and saved in Word format. So we're going to be using this worksheet for our data so that we can refer to it as to what we are going to do with our program. So I'm just going to click on the screen that has my login for the Scratch projects. And what you should do to start your project is you should click Create, and that will bring a brand new empty Scratch project for you. Right away, you should name this project. So I'm calling it, as per our worksheet, my last name, which is Mistretta, and the word quiz in camel notation. So the M is capitalized and the Q is capitalized, just like the humps in a camel. But it's concatenated so that there's no spaces. So this is now called Mistretta Quiz. And then right away, I'm going to click the Share button. You must do this in order for us to see the project. You only have to share it once. So what I want to also indicate to you is subsequently, I'm going to unshare my project because there is something called remixing on Scratch. And what that means is you can take somebody else's project, copy it over, and then modify it to yours. So since I'm using this with students as an assessment, I take that down. I unshare my project. I can still run it myself using my Screencast-O-Matic software for flip lessons as a demonstration, but this is taken off the table, so to speak, for a remix, because I want my students to create their own project and their own program and learn how to drag and drop and add the blocks to their program. So this is not available for remix, and that's what I suggest that you do if you have an example that you're using with your students and you don't want them to just remix yours, and because that would certainly be a shortcut. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go inside of our project. And here we have the analogy of a theater, because your sprites, you can consider the actors. The actors each have their own script. They have their own costumes, and I can change my backdrop. So that's one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click on this sprite. So on a Mac, it's Control click. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that sprite because I don't need him. I could hide him, but I like my programs to be nice and lean. So I am going to eliminate that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select a new sprite. And what I had done was I selected, I'm going to do the same for this one, because in my Word document, I had said that my sprite is going to be Robot 1. So I'm going to keep with that. So anytime you are changing anything, you should record that on your project worksheet. So here is Robot 1. I'm going to select him, and he's going to be my robot. Now what I want to notice is that since my action is going to be more toward the left, this is where the program puts my lists. You'll see in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to modify this particular sprite, and I'm going to do so in the costume section. I click on costumes. I have this sprite selected. I'm going to click on costumes. I want him facing the other way. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to flip him from left to right. Also, what's very important in Scratch and in gaming, a lot of times students want to write a game, which is fine because that can be very educational. But in gaming, it's very important to click this crosshair right here, and you're setting the center of the sprite. And that's important because if you are having the situation where something is going to be a projectile to hit the sprite, you want the sprite to be centered so that when it does hit, it is hitting where your user is perceiving as the center or the boundaries of your sprite. So that's why I always switch that. One thing that you should consistently do is a save. I'm using Command S on a Mac. You can use a Control S on a Windows-based device, or you can drop down this file menu and do a save now. It's very important to save often. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my backdrop, and I am going to select a backdrop by clicking on the Choose from the Backdrop library. And also what I want to point out is that my backdrop, I had indicated on my project worksheet, is space. So I'm going to come over here, and there's many backdrops to choose from. It's your choice as to what you want to pick. I happen to like space, and that is the one that I'm choosing to put on my my stage. So this is, I have chosen my backdrop, and I have chosen my sprite. So now in order to program my sprite, I want to be able to click on that sprite and then click on scripts, and that is where I'm going to start to program my sprite. Every program begins with a green flag. So I have to drag one over, and that's inside of the Events tab. I'm just going to tab through there, and you're going to see that each type of script or piece of the program, those little puzzle pieces, are in different tabs. So the green flag happens to be in the Events, and I just simply drag it over. And so that says when green flag clicked. I'm just going to move him for a second so that I'm going to be able to show you that the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set him so that it's at a start position. And that's another thing that's on my Scratch project worksheet. That is something that you treat this as a customer in the specification sheet. So I have said that I'm going to start this particular sprite at X is -100 and Y is -56. So you can see that the sprite, you can tell where his XY coordinate is simply by moving him around and then looking at this section right here of the screen. So this is a Cartesian coordinate, and you have your XYs, just like your Cartesian plane. So you would be able to move him around. I'm just moving him here because I want to show you that when I have my motion tab open, I'm going to attach a go to particular block, and I had said that I have -100 as my start, so I'm going to copy that out of my I could have just entered it, but I just wanted to, okay, I didn't take over the negative sign. -100, and I said that it's going to be a -56. I'm just going to tap in here, -56. Again, I'm going to do a save. So now what you're going to see is that when I click the button to place him over, to start my program, I'm able to make him at -100 and -56. So let's see. I think I want him over here. I'm going to make this a +100. I want him over on the right hand side. So I'm going to save that. I'm just going to move him over here so you can see him move and click. So that's where his start position is. So I'm just going to modify my worksheet so that I am handing in exactly what the specifications are. So this is how I had designed this. So you can agree, you can check on your students in a formative way to check to see if they are adhering to their little specification throughout the time that they're coding. This particular type of flip lesson that I'm creating right now is something that can be assigned for homework, and then you have plenty of time during class to have them work on their project. It's best to have them work in teams of 2, and then 2 or 3 if you have an odd number of students in the class, so that they can collaborate, because the collaborative learning is strongest to reinforce learning. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save, and I am going to exit the program now so that I can finish this particular flipped lesson, and the next sections of the program will be coded in subsequent flipped lessons. Thank you.